to Upstage Downstage with him, Richard Platt, seated in the upper circle.
And him, Stephen Rees, typically seated in the cheap seat.
This is the Theatre Podcast, where we discuss productions we've seen,
Things we've liked,
and may not have liked,
giving our complete unprofessional
and non-biased opinions.
So grab a brew,
Take a seat,
and let's raise that curtain.
On today's episode, we'll be discussing Lifeline. Richard saw this production at Southwark Playhouse, Elephant, London, on the 2nd of April 2026, starring a chorus of real-life nurses, doctors, vets, dentists and scientists, alongside a professional cast. These remarkable and true stories celebrate the everyday people who make the extraordinary happen. Lifeline makes its highly anticipated London premiere fresh from a debut run off Broadway, and after making history as the first musical to ever perform at the United Nations. So, what is it all about? It's 1950 and Scottish scientist Alexander Fleming is at the height of his fame. His discovery of penicillin, the world's first antibiotic, is being hailed as a miracle cure that will change medicine forever. But his heart is torn as he falls in love with Greek resistance fighter and scientist Amalia Vareka, who must return home without him. Fast forward to present-day Edinburgh, Junior Doctor Jess faces the unthinkable when her estranged childhood sweetheart is rushed to her hospital. As old feelings resurface and old cures are put to the test, critical decisions must be made.
But first, our post-show opinion!
A well cared for and creative musical.
So, with all that said, let's
Set the scene!
So, Richard, you went along to, well, you were invited, weren't you,
Yeah.
to see a brand new show, a new musical at that,
Yes.
in Southwark at the Elephant.
Yes.
So, would you like to tell us a little bit about that theatre? Have you been before?
It's the first time I've been to Southwark Elephant, and it's part of the Southwark Playhouses have got a few venues really. So this is one of the relatively newer ones. But I suppose it's keen to mention that actually something like Operation Mincemeat came from Southwark Playhouse. They debuted one of the earlier intonations of it at one of these venues, and there's other productions that have come through these smaller venues that then get springboarded onto other places in the country. So it's a bit of a melting pot with this sort of smaller theatre where you can take a chance on a smaller venue with less seats, but it's still in the centre of London. So yeah, it's very studio theatre in size. I'd say no bigger than the Playhouse in Sheffield, for example, the smaller venues where you've got almost a blank box where you can change the room to fit what production you're doing, really.
How many seats? About 500?
It's nowhere near that. It's like 70, 80. It's not.
Oh, so...
No, it's not. We're not
it's
talking like,
a bit
yeah,
smaller.
we're not talking like, yeah, so I think it's probably maximum 100. I'm not, yeah. It's all built with scaffolding. The seating is, so the balcony above is I'd only say it's 2 rows deep, so it doesn't hold that many. So it's not a massive, not a huge venue.
Okay, cool.
So
Now, let's talk about the play. Would you like to set the scene? Let's just describe the set for our listening viewers and also myself, because I unfortunately couldn't make it to that venue or show.
yeah, so the set itself was very open plan. I'd say it was not very distant from a hospital setup really, because it was almost blue tiled floors, a lot of curtain drapes that looked like the screens you'd use in a hospital, and then a lot of light panels with wooden framing around them. So there was basically, that was the main set, and then you'd got a couple of workstations. They were almost like
desks?
They were
Okay,
desks,
yeah.
but on wheels. So so
Yeah.
it gave the impression that they would be wheeled around and used as trolleys or this, that, and other. But it was...
Were
they
they,
both,
though?
yeah, they were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were. It was just... When you first walked in, they looked like desks because they'd just got chairs at them and they were just out of the way. But at the back of the, on the light panels, they'd got little pill bottles with no labels on, and bottles, and just things to show that you're in some sort of, medicine-related part of a production. There was basically 4 fluorescent lights hanging above. It just gave you that clinical, surgical view that you were in something like a hospital setting, really.
Okay.
And there was a raised platform. So this flooring that made it look like a hospital was all the way across the main floor of the performance space, but then the main stage was a curved piece that was built just above that, was just lifting the cast, really.
Did it go anywhere else other than that medical setting?
It did, yeah. But just above, of both left and the right, where I've said the desks were, there was 2 entrances with the curtains built in them. But then above that was the band. So the band were actually on stage at all times.
Oh, right,
so they were
okay.
like, yeah. So
So you could still see the band, could you?
yes, all the way
curtain?
through. You
Yeah.
could see them in the getting ready and in the start and everything. So
Richard's just show me a picture of the image of the picture of the image. What does
picture
that
up the
mean?
image of the set, yeah.
And it is quite small indeed. So, like you were saying, it is quite intimate.
Yeah,
with
very
only,
intimate.
by looking here, 3 rows deep on either side,
Yeah.
all the way around.
I think this is a thing we're seeing recently with a lot of staging productions and things. There's a lot of financial risk with a production like a new
That's new,
production.
yes.
So I can understand why they're using smaller venues with lower ticket cost, but also lower higher cost, because to try something new and take on a 2,500 seater or even a 500 seater, you've got to run that for a month and try and sell tickets. You're better off trying it out in another venue before you commit to something like that, really.
And also on the writing perspective, if something doesn't land well, or there's questions, or something's a little off, or you notice more things within the physical acting in how lines are delivered or how scenes are structured, I suppose you can quickly adapt them and change them and make everything that you need to do. And alter stuff before it goes to a bigger venue or toured a little bit.
Yeah, and I can see that this production and other productions, it's almost like you get it's a month trial to really fine tune things before you went somewhere else, or pick out bits, or take audiences' critique to see what actually needs to tighten up to make it more universally accepted, really. So I can understand why there's a lot of new productions doing this in that way. But also you're close to talent in the likes of London and Manchester and those sort of venues where you've got Hope Mill in Manchester, you've got this, you've got stuff in Sheffield, you've got smaller venues where you can try things out to then progress it to the next level.
Okay, so talking about the set, let's just cut along now to talking a little bit more about the production and the writing and the direction of it. Who wrote this play?
So it's by Charades Theatre Company, but it's the book is by Becky Hope Palmer. And the music and lyrics are by Robin Hiley. I think it came out of a group of songs that ended up being trialled in America as a bit of a starting block, almost, an off-Broadway run.
Yeah.
They knew there was some length in the songs and the production they put on in America. So, and I think it's just the time to try it out in Britain. Something I was going to say about the cast, because I know in the introduction you mentioned that there was supplementary cast and there was doctors, vets, and those sort of things within the production. I was going to bring up, and before I forget, that a lot of the supporting cast members, you didn't really twig that they were from those backgrounds at first. So they were part of the production, and they were coming in and doing things and moving set around and being part of the choral numbers and things like that. But you didn't actually realise that they were part of the profession.
Okay.
At first, so I thought it was more like these were really good community theatre performers adding into the main cast. So just to put a bit of context onto that just showed that they were doing a really good job in bringing the story on stage. And
so if he hadn't brought a programme, does it say anywhere in the production, or did they come to light that these people were?
Yeah, so right at the end, you find out all of their lives, and like what they've been doing to progress the sort of premise of the production. So it's quite cleverly done. But so right at the end, they all introduce themselves quickly and say what they're actually doing to provide this lifeline. And I think this is the whole point of the musical itself. So I can see where it's been written from this perspective, because it's a living, breathing sort of topic. This whole, because it comes the whole written part of the production is there's clearly been a lot of research done into what penicillin did during and after the war, and what it actually changed to recuperate and heal a lot of soldiers that got infections and things like that, and then progressed through the 50s, 60s and 70s, and then to modern day, where there's a lot about resistance to modern day medicine. There's a lot of infections that are resistant now to being treated. So it's almost the next challenge is now to resist, to find that combatant to the resistance really of modern day antibiotics.
Our bodies are always reacting to change, aren't they?
Yeah.
Adapting.
Yeah.
Everything that they come into contact with. So.
Yeah, so Lifeline's basically that sort of parallel world between the two time periods to show that there's the same, that there's a new thing happening.
Well, I suppose for some people, penicillin and that discovery was a lifeline to many people.
Yeah,
Saved their
exactly.
lives.
Yeah. This is a production with music and songs in it. I know it's called a musical. In my view, it's a play with music. It's a play with the music helps drive the story.
Yeah.
Rather than it being it's not your, like we've talked about before in over certain episodes, where some productions are based on the happy, jolly, singy. They're more of a musical in the old world sense of your top hats and things like that. It's not that world. This is more of a. It's got links in my head to Come From Away, 42 Balloons. Your productions that tell stories through song, almost.
Okay.
So that sort of leads me into like Becky Hope Palmer and Robin Hiley have clearly done a lot of work to create this musical, really.
How did you feel that the songs captured the moments within the play? And with you saying that they moved the narrative along, how good were they at delivering the goods? Because when I went to see 42 Balloons with you, and also Kathy and Stella solve murder. I was going to say, because I wanted to say podcast. And when we went to see Kathy and Stella solve murder, the songs within them moved the narrative along, and they were quite enjoyable. Well, very enjoyable, in fact. So, does this relate to that, and is it on par with that in terms of playback ability as well? And
I suppose a lot of the characters they have had a lot of the songs written so that it drives their storyline along, and they're very specific to them.
Yeah,
a lot of the supporting cast are there to add the harmonies and add the actual like additional sound to the songs, but it's more about the individual characters. So I suppose that if I take it back to where the main character, Aaron, also who plays Klaus, plays a different character in both timelines, but he's a musician in both timelines as well. So Aaron is pretty much the rocker, the person that's been out on tour, and he ends up coming back to back home basically, and because he becomes ill, he ends up in hospital, and one of the nurses is actually his ex. Okay. So the whole that's the link, but he plays a lot of acoustic songs within the production that drive his storyline and had some sort of thought and sweetness to his role, because all the way through it's all about him unraveling what he wants out of life, but ends up becoming really ill through it. So yeah. But then to have the opposite side of it in the sort of 50s, he plays a soldier that is related to who's not related. He's a soldier who is one of the band of the band of Merry. One of the same regiment of the. It's hard to get. It's hard because I'm just trying to get like. So Klaus is basically one of the regiment members of Alexander Fleming. So they both were in the army when they developed penicillin, but Klaus died before penicillin was invented. So it was basically the whole Alexander drive was to fix his friend that he lost, basically. Yes. So that was the premise of his whole drive to find that cure to save so many more people, because actually he couldn't save one of his best friends. So So you've got Alex, you've got
What have you
Nathan,
got?
you've got Aaron and Klaus. It flits between those two lives. So the songs are very different, but they have some they have links to each side of it. So they work really well. And then you've got Julian Kerr's character, or Julian Kerr, who's the character who's basically the government officer that is trying to do changing things within his power in the background, but also conveying the message that it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
To actually do that, it's all right having experimental drugs, but actually they don't always. It doesn't always get done unless it's robust and it's sorted to. And with Jess's character, who's Aaron's basically ex-girlfriend, she shows the whole struggle of what the medical profession struggle with, dealing with people that are trying loads of different drugs, trying loads of different things, and actually making their situation worse because they're making themselves more resistant to antibiotics because they're taking them when they don't need them. Yes. So it's touching on a lot of these subjects, and
because a lot of people do. Yeah. They get told, "Oh, just to have this and have that," when sometimes a natural homemade remedy might do the trick just as well.
And this is where it shows Aaron's demise, because while he was abroad and he was trying to sort out his himself being poorly, he actually his ultimate end was he dies because of nothing. It's basically so many years on. Spoilers alert! But it basically is the same. It's the same almost arc as Klaus, because you've got Aaron who then dies because we can't fix him because there isn't a cure again. So it's like, we've advanced into the next years and it's still we've still got opposing problems.
Yeah.
I know I've been all around the houses, Stephen.
Yeah, it's difficult to keep up with.
It's There's I think to be honest, there's a lot of subject matter and there's a lot of technicalities within this production, as in it's almost the medical technical world of doing things like this. So as much as I understood it when I'm watching it, it's hard to regurgitate it because there's a lot to take in.
Okay.
And actually, when you watch the production, it's great, but you don't necessarily need to remember all of that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm trying to get at. It's like it's in essence, it's two love stories intertwined in different parallel worlds that basically show that Alexander and sorry, I'll say that again because I'm moving things. So Alexander and Amalia, as in Alexander Fleming, who's trying to find a cure, actually resists having a relationship with his assistant Amalia because the cure's more important than the relationship. Yeah. So it's all about that pull of actually I need to my drive is to do that rather than actually settle down and do that. But at the end of the production, they're together. Yeah. And he sees sense, and then you've got Aaron and Jess's characters that basically Jess then loses her boyfriend that they've rekindled, and then it all falls down. So it's that is the basics of the two sort of worlds. You've got supporting characters, and you've got friends, and you've got people that help drive the storyline around, and you see little moments of how Aaron and Jess met. So you'll see that there's moments where Aaron's on his hospital bed with Jess, and then two of the other supporting cast members come out and recreate their first childhood friendship meeting, or how they became intertwined almost. So you get a lot of the sort of little snippets throughout the production. So it's done really well. It's done really sort of creatively. And I think that's why I'm trying to say that the songs are almost part of this sort of... They're part of this the train you get on. They're part of the like noise and the movement and the sort of push it along.
Okay.
But they're more like dialogue than they are actual standout songs that could be released on their own, if you know. That's what I'm trying to get to, I suppose.
How did you feel about the whole direction of this, and who directed it, and who was the choreographer, or was there a movement director as well?
It was directed by Alex Howarth. It was musically directed by Neil Metcalf and choreographed by Leanne Pinder. And I think it was directed really well for the space they'd got, and it looked quite a big square space, but they tend to make it quite intimate, certain things, and I like the fact that the light panels, 3 of them opened up like doors, so they brought set in and stuff, but it didn't look like that was going to happen. So there was a lot of moments like that I thought the set design really helped to keep the pace of the musical.
Yes. Yeah.
So there wasn't much lingering around. And there were certain scenes that were set up. So there was a scene where somebody had got well and was about to leave the hospital. So there was a scene with bunting and balloons and things.
Yeah.
And the supporting cast put it out for merely 2-3 minutes and had walked off with it. But because of the speed of it, it worked because it gave you the aesthetics, and then it had gone to the next scene. But and I think there's little bits like that worked really well. Like they had a main hospital bed for a lot of this modern scenes, but then when it came to in the 50s, they used the two office desks on wheels to become the deathbed for the other scenes, as in like the soldier scenes. So there was a lot of moments.
Oh, right,
So even though it was in the same position, it actually felt like another. It felt like another space and another place. So I think that helped well.
Yeah.
And then where the band were above the sort of performance area, they directed some of the scenes where they were actually cast above. So they created a lot of height levels, and there was a hidden ladder in both sides of the set. So what looked like shelves was actually a ladder to get down onto the stage from those high places. So that it just gave those little elements of like climbing into another space, or it just added some different elements to it. No, I think they directed it really well, to be fair.
What about the choreography here? And like the whole musical numbers.
That was good. I mean, there was some Kayleigh moments, because there's some Scottish moments in there. So Alexander's Scottish, and there's a lot of Scottish roots in this whole production. Yeah. They kept a lot of the songs very folky, very, very sort of almost freeing compared to like your choreographed, solid, hard-edged choreography.
Yeah.
It was more fun and added a bit of lightness towards the production when they were talking about some heavy subjects about losing people. So it's quite there's some really heartwarming moments in it, because through happiness, actually, it fuels heartwarming things. As in, then when you have something that's really sad, it does how you can tell the difference between the two spaces. So yeah, so that worked really well. One thing I've mentioned is that I think it was directed in a way that this is quite technical. This is quite technically, it's about a medical advancement, and to make it watchable for an audience, you've got to pull things out of this production that aren't just boring in some ways. There was some elements of like mirroring as well, where in the scenes in the 50s you'd got a few bits where Alexander and Amalia were Alexander gave Amalia a locket. Yes, it was a locket of the first, like one of the first bacterias of penicillin.
Yeah. And
in their eyes, that was gold, But so there was a scene where they broke up, and that got hung on the back of the set as part on one side where the desks were and where the coats were and things. And then in the modern day scene, Jess decided to leave the medical profession. Jess decided to leave the medical profession at one point, and she hung her medical badge up on the opposite side. And there was a few moments like those that it was like you saw the parallels
Yes.
become real in certain elements. So it's really, it's clever in that
So was
way.
it like repeating a lot of, like going over the same grounds from the 1950s to the current day?
Yeah.
And similarly having the same outcome, but only from the 1950s when they discovered something that could cure something.
Yeah.
We've now got in the current day an illness. Well, not necessarily an illness, but we've got something where actually we need to find obviously the next thing, but we haven't got it just yet.
So it advances Alexander's life.
Like that's stating the obvious.
But it advances Alexander's life, and it doesn't always stay in the 50s. So what you see towards the end of the production is actually he's now at conferences talking about the subject and actually finding the confidence to actually stand in a room of people and say we can't just be complacent about this. Now we've got to look at the next thing. So it does sort of full circle moment right at the end and brings it all together. So yeah. And that's through, and also the reason Jess left the medical profession was to actually fight the fight for somebody she's just lost.
Yeah,
and sort of say that this is real and we need to, something needs to happen. So it does that whole sort of arc really. So
is there anything else you'd like to say in this discussion?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
So something we've touched on in previous episodes, and Stephen will know where I'm going with this.
Oh.
We've seen so much, quite honestly, rubbish recently in writing and productions based on themes that just sell tickets. And
rubbish is a hard word to say.
Yeah, but
I think it's more profiteering.
Yeah, so what I mean is
with lazy writing.
I mean, that's right. So yeah, all right. What I mean is, it feels like there's not as much care on the subject matter when writing a production. They're just selling it based on a name. And it really feels frustrating when you go and see something like this, that they're trying to write a new musical to be a new production, and really trying to put a solid storyline in something. Yeah. And yet the actual things that are selling out there are these productions that are just selling based on a name because we've known a film from years ago.
Yeah, so more style over substance.
And that's where I'm going with this. It's like, I feel like there's been a lot of work on this. There's been a lot of musical talent that's trying to actually make something that's in my eyes was actually really worth watching, and people would come
to say as well,
something to
a
say,
bit more deeper.
And yet it's going to,
about.
Compared to some of these other ones that are selling across the country, that you just think to yourself, it's really frustrating when you watch something like this and you think they're having to do the hard slog and go the long, those other productions that we've seen, they haven't had to spend time in a smaller venue before they become a bigger production and then a bigger and I think that's something I took away from this as well. You sit there and sit back and go, these are trying really hard to create new theatre. Yeah. And they're going to really, need a springboard. And it really frustrates me when I see these other productions just selling it based on the name and a well-designed poster.
Yes, I mean, that's understandable, but I also think with theatre that swings and roundabouts.
Oh, yeah,
not everyone is going to want to be, not necessarily lectured, but have that kind of information given to learn something new. And some people just want to piss up on a nice evening out and to be entertained. And I think you can have theatre that is entertaining and do both as well. And that's not to say that the things we have seen where it is style over substance, where the actors have not put their all in at all. They have. The musicians have. Yeah. Everyone creating the set have. Everyone's contributed to those, like you say, rubbish shows where they have been like putting a lot in, but it does come down to the writing and the money makers from the top thinking, oh, just flog it for the name, flog it for this, that,
and I think to add to that, where I'm going at with this is add to that, where I'm heading with this is, if some of those productions had gone through this process to actually fine tune their material, those productions might be a lot better out there. Because at the moment we're seeing them without having they've not been tested and tried before they put them out. They're in rehearsals before they even They don't do massive preview runs or do smaller venues to get people's views. They're just straight out there into the real world, and you can tell because when you're watching them, you're like, "Where's this script come from?" You can feel it in the.
I think the typical example here is like you've got now. That's what I call a musical, which was a rush job sold based on the name alone, with nothing of substance behind it, and then you've got Here and Now. Very well executed. Everything was well thought out and thorough. But again, both shows are for entertainment purposes only. Even with Here and Now, there's no great substance like Operation Mincemeat, like this Lifeline that you're telling me is.
Exactly.
Or 42 Balloons.
42 Balloons.
They are, there's those of substance and then those that are entertaining. But the ones that are entertaining can be done so much better.
Exactly. So, I think as well. It's like some of the plays. This is what I'm getting at. Is some of the not just musicals, but like Sing a White Female, like Double Indemnity.
Another one.
If they'd have tried and done it in a smaller venue and took proper critique of it, that production when it toured would have been so much stronger than it than.
It would have burnt its stripes and
exactly, and I think that's where I'm picking up on this. It's like these are people who are trying to build something, and then hopefully it gets to the next stage. But it feels like others don't have to do that; they just take a calculated money risk and just throw them around the country, And I think that's Al in that one,
and that's that.
And that's that.
Moving on to our next segment, as we say, we're here for the drama.
I would like to shout out to the whole cast because they did work really hard. Nathan Southstone was great as Aaron and Klaus because he showed his musical talent and abilities. And all of the cast they all helped out do set. They did scenery. They did all the moves. Everything was all done by the cast themselves. So the chorus themselves, every week for the 5 weeks, changes. So they must be in rehearsals every morning for the next group of additional supporting cast that are all from the medical profession. And they must have to keep rehearsing to get the next lot in every time. You could tell that they all gelled really well.
Well, wouldn't they just have a separate rehearsal for themselves if they're bringing stuff on and off and then revealing their
this
stories?
is the problem. They need the whole cast because there was moments where they all do things between them.
Okay.
So there's certain scenes where the supporting cast, they're not just a chorus for songs. They come in and they're acting as doctors, acting as the patients.
So they are more integrated.
So there was more of that within that. So they didn't just play the vocal part. They were actually coming in and being different characters. There was certain scenes where they were part of the they all came on in military outfits because they were part of the sort of the army band of brothers almost. And so I can see that there's a lot of work must be going on prior to each show so that they're ready for the next week of different cast members almost. Alan Vickery as Alexander Fleming was great, and he got a really good physical performance as well. He made a good presence. And Maz McGinley equally. Kelly Gliptis was great as Alexander's love interest. Helen Logan also great. Robbie Scott really played his character well because he was Julian Kerr, who was the best friend, the supporting role, the person that knew both Aaron and Jess in their world. So he was the person that was almost the encourager, but also was the government officer. But he was also very he was a friend. Kelly Gliptis was good. She really embodied Alexander's love interest really well. I felt that she really understood her character, and she played it with the correct accent, and she never really dropped her accent. So she was always in character, and so that worked. That worked really successfally. Well, I think
thanks for not dropping your lines and bumping into the furniture.
I think the thing is when you because she had, I think it was she was very different to the rest of the cast.
Right. Okay.
So that's what I'm trying
she
to
stood
say.
out.
Yeah, but she stayed within that world.
Yeah.
That she needed to. Yeah, Helen Logan playing Aaron's mum was really good. I mean, there was quite a bit of a hard hitting moment in the second half, really, where obviously, spoiler, Aaron passes away.
I think we're going to have to put spoilers on this episode.
Yeah, I know.
Just because I think you've revealed the plot, revealed how many people
But
died.
then he dies more than once because he dies in the 50s as well. So, it's...
How lucky some people
I know,
are.
yeah, exactly. But Nathan...
It's the same character, really?
So, yeah.
Time travel?
Klaus. It's Klaus as well.
Oh.
But
Well.
Aaron returns, another spoiler, he comes back to almost serenade his mum, and it's because of the...
Really, or haunt his mum?
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
what kind
he's
of-
basically...
what scene was it?
He's basically, he sings a song called Dry Your Eyes, and it's one of those songs that's about picking yourself up after the loss of somebody.
Okay.
And it hits quite hard because it's done in the right point in the production where you think he's gone and that's it, and that's that he's not going to console his mum almost, and it was like, this is just timed to perfection. But he comes back out with his guitar and starts playing a song, and I think that was really put in the right place, and you know, and for me, Helen has got enough to react to because she's got all this emotion flying around, and it helps. And so Jess is in the room as well, so it's just that moment really. And Kieran Brown is Merlin Price, but he plays a good supporting role throughout, really, because he's the almost other supporting doctor to scientist to Alexander, but he plays different roles throughout. But he's a good sort of he's a good piece of glue throughout the production. So,
would you like to talk to me about the props and the costumes? Because we should really have covered this in the first section, but I completely forgot. So let's just whack it in here.
Yeah, it's fine. So props and costumes. I mean, I've talked about set design. There was this.
Yeah, so I'm asking you about props and costumes.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say is there's a wheelchair. There's
not a blimp, is there?
There was a nice touch where obviously no, there was no blimp. There was a scene where Aaron and Jess showed when they actually first met, and Aaron's obviously got a full-size guitar in the production that's working, and he plays his own music. He's a musician anyway. But you'd got this scene where they showed them as children actually getting together and meeting, and they got a slightly smaller guitar and a slightly smaller violin that like just gave that like position of this is two different time periods, and I thought that helped.
That sounds
drive
like
that.
a nice scene,
and it was a nice little nod to that, and also one of the musicians actually played.
Didn't they do something similar in Kathy and Stella Solve a Murder?
Yes.
When they were like little, they had huge books.
Same sort of thing. Yeah, it's different size books and different larger books to make them look smaller. And there was a nice bit in the Cayley where the one of the musicians who played bagpipes, he actually came down and played them on stage as part of the production and the ending of the production. So it added to that, like taking
atmosphere
to a different space and stuff like that. So I think, and costume wise, everything was very medical profession. Everything was very your scrubs, and a lot of it was that sort of where, apart from the characters that played the mum and the scientist was in a lot of shirts, suits, and those
So no scrubs.
No scrubs. Yeah, no scrubs.
Scrubs and no scrubs.
And the military costumes were all very to the point and
what do you mean to the point? Like camouflaged?
Well, no,
freshly ironed.
They were more like your parade uniforms. So it was like the freshly, like the proper
freshly linen. What?
Shut up.
Yeah, but when you say to the point, I don't know what that means.
No, I don't either.
Don't say it.
No.
So they were wearing military uniforms.
Military uniforms. They were basically wearing very almost. They were Scottish military uniforms. So because there was a lot of kilts in that part.
So they weren't wearing kilts.
Yeah, they were.
So there were kilts with
jackets and
military jackets
military
on.
hats. Yeah.
Because in the military you've got several different uniforms for different positions, and also if you're active or
there was attention attention to detail on that side. There was also a couple of moments where they recreated hospital scenes in the 50s. So the nurses looked very Red Cross, old
Style.
sort of hair, small little hats on the heads and little capes, and so they did some of the moments where you went right back into time to see the different.
Also,
views.
very much Call the Midwife.
Yeah, so it was very.
Yeah.
It was very, yeah.
Moving on to our next segment, as we say, what the tech is this? So the technical side of things, Richard. Talk to me about the technical stuff in this technical situation.
I think there was just a couple of things that I picked up on that I don't know if it was more annoyance for me or the cast, but there was a couple of lights in where the entrances were for the cast from both stage left and right, but they were behind the entrance of them. So as they walked off, they got a light hit them in the face because it was coming through
a beam of light rather than a whole lighting system.
Well, no, it was it was like one single light through both sides with little gaps cut out of the side that you couldn't properly see. But there was a couple of moments where cast entered and they put people in shadow on stage because they were stood right waiting to come on with the light blocking that light. So it was there for a reason to put side lights across stage.
Yeah.
But because there were people waiting to come on stage, it blocked the light.
Right.
Because it was, in a way, they should have put them the other way around, so the light was in front of the cast and they walked around the back of it. But it was the opposite way around.
Okay.
So it just it created distraction when you're watching something across a stage. So it just was a little bit awkward when they walked off. Normally you walk off to darkness and they were walking into like bright light. So I think that didn't help sometimes.
Maybe that's the whole point of the show.
Yeah. Go to the white light. So that was a little distracting. I mean, one thing I will say is something we've
you
also...
just said another thing.
Yeah,
so this
sorry.
is the
Anyway.
second thing you're going to say.
So something we bring up about in other productions and a bit of a bugbear is use of microphones.
Oh, because normally it's gunshots.
But
so
this was more microphone use. Not one microphone dropped.
Okay.
And this is a big cast. All mic'd.
So it can be done.
And it's nice to actually it's refreshing to see when actually not one mic didn't turn on at the right point and we heard everybody. And I really get frustrated when you've got big productions and they end up having a mic drop or something not working and somebody's not pressed the button at the right time and this didn't happen.
Yeah.
And this is a production with a lot of people mic'd for a musical and they work really well. So yeah, it is refreshing sometimes when they get it right.
Yeah. Incidentally, something that we've never actually done before, which I think we should be doing actually, is when we talk about the tech, we should list the people who do the tech.
Yeah.
Actually. So who was in charge of the lighting and the sound?
You've got Matthew Craigden and Paul Smith doing sound. So Matthew Craigden did lighting and Paul Smith was on sound.
Okay.
I think personally, lighting and sound did a good job of using an almost empty space. The use of lighting worked well because the light panels that I talked about at the back of the stage, they tended to use LEDs behind them to just change the mood or change the zone of certain things. So there was times when it looked like if you shut off the lights in a hospital and you're just talking on a corridor, but everything else is gone quiet, almost like it's the night time in a hospital ward. It felt you got that view, you got that feeling that it was a little bit of a different space. Or there was a couple of moments where Alexander and his love interest were by a warm sunny place, and you got warm sunny hues from these panels. So everything felt like it doesn't matter how much light you put on the colour on the floor. Sometimes you do need to put that around the stage to actually just lift the backdrops and things. And then sound-wise, so Paul Smith on sound, basically, it was clear that he understood how to blend a band, blend all the voices and sound effects and everything that went with it really well, because it's not an easy feat when you've got, I think it was a 6-piece band, as well as everybody else mic'd, as well as a man with the bagpipes moving down and being in different places and all those sort of things. To blend all that together, it in a small space, worked really well.
Yeah.
Because it is really a box. It's not like you've got lovely sort of... You've not got like an acoustic set that bounces sound back and all those sort of things. You've literally got a box. So to make it sound rich and full of life, it worked well.
And now it's time for
Rewind, Rewatch.
What part of this would you just like to rewind and watch again?
I think for me, it's the I've done all that I can scene into Dry Your Eyes and then Waltz With Me replies. It's almost like the last part of the production because it all tied in well. And I've done all that I can is basically, it's the song that Robbie Scott as Julian Kerr sings, because basically he's saying he's done everything in his power, but the song brings the entire room and the cast together, and it's quite a big 11th hour song. It's almost like that. You know, it works really well to just summarise what's happened all the way through the production. So I just like the how that came across.
Cool, that's lovely.
Lovely.
Moving on to our final segment, as we say,
Call this a show?
Right, call this a show, Richard.
Yeah, I did call it a show. It's all right, yeah.
Yeah, well, to sum up,
it's a great show to go and see. I would see it again, and I wish them all the luck in the world. I can see that they may make some tweaks going forward. There might be some tightening.
do you think it needs it?
I think there may be little bits that they probably picked up on that they could have tightened certain bits where does it add any more narrative or pace to the production? There might have been little bits, but without me watching it a few times, I wouldn't be able to sort of pinpoint them now.
Yes.
I did notice a couple of little drops where you think to yourself, that could have been tightened a little bit. But not. I'm not saying it changed the aesthetic, but it's just... This is a production that's quite heavy on medical history, so it's a lot of info dumping, But it does it in a great way.
Yeah, well, that's not too bad then, really, for a new play. Just have one or two tweaks, but other than
exactly
that, it's
because it's got a strong start. It starts powerfully,
Yeah.
and it keeps that momentum going. So
what was the interval situation like? Did it lead up to the interval really well? And how did the second act open?
Oh God, you get me now.
Because I know some plays we've seen where we think, okay, this is leading up to an interval. No, another scene and another scene. And
I think they did. For me, that it was done right in the sense of it broke at the right point, and there was it didn't feel like we've added extra in because we've got to sort of shoehorn it in.
Yeah,
they did. They ended at the right point in the production, I felt.
Yeah, that's good.
So, and I think that's why I would have noticed if there was an extra scene that wasn't necessary, you know. But yeah, no, that worked really well.
Fair enough.
It was the right crescendo, shall we say, before it goes.
And on that bombshell, thank you very much.
No worries.
Do you know what? I think I will. I would love to come and see this play. Obviously, I was invited along to it, and I couldn't because I was working, because... Sometimes we'll get invited to shows midweek, and I can only really do the weekend ones.
Previews tend to be week time.
Unless it's local, then I might be able to.
Are you local?
Yes. What I'm on. But going by what you've said and what you've described, the set and how the play goes along, I'm actually interested in this. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it advances and becomes something a little bit more.
I'd like to see
or
it
a lot
progress.
More. Yeah. So
we'll be keeping our eye on it.
Yeah, I'd really like to come and see this. Scores then, please, Richard, for Lifeline. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being a breakthrough in identifying the need for the next topical solution, and 1 being a production with no hope for a cure. What's it going to be?
It's going to be an 8 from me because it really showed how much work they put into this.
So, Richard, you've given it 8 points, which means... it's a 4-star review.
It is.
So, what sound effect will you be choosing from the following? A complete train wreck? Tumbleweed? An audible shrug of the shoulders? A slow clap? A pleasant applause? Or a standing ovation? What will it be?
And it's going to be a standing ovation because I gave them one on the night.
Why not do it again then on audio format?
Yes, of course. You can see me standing now.
So there we are. That's our discussion of Lifeline. We hope you found it insightful.
If not, entertaining.
Stay tuned as we bring you more of our thoughts
And opinions.
on many theatrical delights in future episodes.
If you'd like to get in touch, email us at upstagedowstagepod@gmail.com. You can always join in the chat to share with us your views of a production.
Also, make sure to follow, share, like and subscribe to all our channels so you get every episode the second it's released. And we hope you join us again for another instalment of Upstage Downstage. Why not do it again then on audio format?
Yes, of course. You can see me standing now.
No.
Are you ovating?
Ovulating. Oh, that's something else.
One word.
On today's episode, we'll be discussing Lifeline. Are my levels okay?
They seem to be.
Yes.
I don't know if my mic's close enough.
I might just get a jump. Oh,
One,
recording
two,
now?
three. Yeah, we're all right. We're good totals.
just set the record straight. That was my chair.
Was it now?
It was.
I thought it was something else.
I had to get a jump on. He's washing. Never mind.
This is not a visual podcast, so we're okay.
Thank God. Could you imagine?
Oh,
There'd be
God, I
complaints.
want to see it.
Eating again.
Eating mess.
Enough of your pudding. On today's episode, we'll be discussing Lifeline. Richard saw this production at Southwark Playhouse, Elephant.
Southwark.
Southwark.
It's like,
it's ultimate.
it's like Southwell. It's Southwark.
I just spell it.
It's Southwark. No, S-O-U, but it's spelled S-O-U.
Well, I'm going to leave it like that, so I don't know. Lifeline makes its highly anticipated Lifeline makes its highly Can you not turn the page when I'm speaking?
Sorry.
And after making history as the first musical ever, turn in any more pages while I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Could you drink your tea quietly, please? Is being hailed as a miracle cure. Is being hailed as a miracle cure that will change medical. No, it won't. Is being hailed as a miracle cure that it. Oh.
I mean, one thing that was really good with the.
Just a one thing.
All right. Just let me get one.
Just put the mic a bit close to you because you're very quiet.
Oh yeah, I was one time. Can you see through here? Because it is quiet. It's just
No, but I can just see, like, you have a go at me for not being in my mic, and you're like, practically in the other room.
Mike's not here today. Mike's not showing up. We've invited him, but he just never turns up.
What is this, a threesome? Where are you going here?
I don't know. Anyway,
Do me washing if he wants.